All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you. If you can tell here, we have quite a big studio here, so it's nice to be here at Quinnipiac University, but it's even better to be able to speak to you guys now. Because of COVID, I was supposed to be doing this back in March, but here we are, we're figuring it out. So we're just gonna take a little journey today. Hopefully you're sitting at your laptops and it breaks up the monotony, and we're gonna talk about my story, tell you the ups and downs of lives, and hopefully give you a few things that you can take away and have tangible moments that you can go and look back and go, oh yeah, if Dave did that, then why can't I? So we can start off this magical journey, and I don't know if you know much about my background, but I'm gonna tell you who Dave Stevens was. So here I am, this little kid that was born in Arizona in 1966, but strike one, I was born without legs. Strike two, I was put up for adoption right away, and strike three, the parents that adopted me, well, they were very poor, and it's tough growing up in life when you don't have legs and don't have a lot of money, but they did give me a lot of love. They raised me like a normal child. They gave me the opportunities that every normal child would have, and I didn't know any different. So I'd hop around in my arms, I'd do the things that I would do to be just like a normal kid. In fact, I wore artificial legs starting at age 2. The Shriners helped me, and in fact, I helped the Shriners. I would go around and put on shows, and that's a cute little old me way, way, way back in the day. I'd sing a song, tell a couple of bad jokes, and really try to raise awareness for the Shriners for what they did for me. But just like any other kid, I was a normal Cub Scout. I grew up. I never realized I was handicapped. I never realized I was not normal. In fact, my mom bought a shirt from Goodwill that was part of a tuxedo that I thought was a fancy 80s shirt, and I loved it. But it was just a matter of that's how poor we were. And we were really poor. In fact, we moved away after my 8th grade in high school, 8th grade year into high school. We moved into a town called Whitman, Arizona, the most desolate, one of the most vile, disgusting areas you can ever see. This is where I lived, and we've come up to the house where I grew up. It was a one-room house. It really didn't have much to it. In fact, I didn't even have a bedroom. You know, I had a refrigerator that was kind of looking a different way, and I could get in there and have a bed. And I took my kids there a couple of times, and my son said, "Dad, why did you choose to live here?" And I said, "Brady, I didn't choose to live here, but I could choose where I wanted to end up." And so that's why it was so important for me to do something with my life. And that's when I decided to turn my disability into my ability, playing high school football, the only player in the history of Arizona without legs playing high school football. I had to go through tests, I had to go through all kinds of fights, but I got in there, I played, I did well, and I said, hey, might as well go out for wrestling. So with the coach's help and a lot of training, I became a wrestler. And again, I had the advantage against you leggies. I call you people with legs leggies, but I had the advantage because I knew what to do against you. You didn't know what to do against me. And I had these great WWE moves like right here where the guy thought he had me. I swing over, flip over, turn down the legs, and that fish was done. So wrestling was probably my favorite sport to be a part of, but baseball is what really took me to the highest levels by playing baseball on my arms, hitting the ball, running on my arms, you know, but I was an outfielder as well. I wasn't just this token. I was a guy that was a part of a baseball team. I had to field my position in right field. I had to be able to do the things that wasn't going to cost a team wins instead of helping them get that, which then led to appearances on a TV show called That's Incredible back in the day. I had to fly to Los Angeles, and I told them, hey, I want to grow up one day, and I want to be on TV. And my other goal was also to play professional sports. And on that same show, 4-year-old little guy named Tiger Woods. So you never know whose paths you're going to cross. Sometimes I say I've lived a Forrest Gump life, and that's a case in point. Here's little Tiger Woods on the same show as I was when I was 15 years old. He had goals that he wanted to achieve, and obviously he's become one of the greatest golfers in the history of golf. So our paths crossed at an early age. He's a little more incredible than I am, but you know, went back to high school, you know, had a girlfriend, went to prom, enjoyed life, and that's when some other amazing things started happening in my life. But it was a real dark time for a while for me because of the things that I had. I lost my parents. My parents both died. My mom died the day I left for college. My dad died a year and a half later. I went to Augsburg College. And I said, I'm going to play football and honor my parents. So I played college football, the only legless college football player in the history of the NCAA. That's it. There's me. There's no more. I'm the only one who's ever done it, and I hope someday there'll be another. I also had a tryout with the Dallas Cowboys, another thing that a legless player can say they've never done. But, you know, it was just a great experience and a great opportunity to be in that stadium, turning heads, showing people once again that you can do anything that you want to do in life if you put your mind to it. And yeah, I didn't make the team, but I was disappointed, but I ran and I did what I had to do. But the biggest important thing that ever happened in my life was playing for the St. Paul Saints. I had a 3-week contract in minor league baseball in St. Paul, Minnesota with the St. Paul Saints, started at second base, led off a game, played in the same outfield with Darryl Strawberry. Yes, that Darryl Strawberry, and you can see him in this video here. In fact, I've even pinch hit for Darryl Strawberry in a minor league game, a game he had 3 home runs in, and he said, hey, go hit for me. I took a called third strike, but being able to say that a legless guy led off and started a minor league baseball game, it's still an amazing dream come true that I had those early goals in my life, those things that I wanted to do, and I've striven to achieve them. And then the epitome of my life was being in broadcasting. 20 years at ESPN, the worldwide leaders in sports. I won 7 Emmys. I was a part of Super Bowls and World Series and Chris Berman and all of those funny commercials. And I was so proud to be a part of such an amazing organization for so long. And there's those Emmys right behind me, and there I am standing back in the day when I wore artificial legs. And as I said, working for ESPN, making $125,000 a year at the time, I thought I had the greatest life ever. Then came 2015, when ESPN laid off 500 people, including myself. I didn't have that golden ticket. I had 3 sons. I had an ex-wife, and I had no job. And I didn't know what I was going to do. You know, all these things I'd worked for, all these things that I'd strive for, completely taken away from me. And that was probably the lowest period of my life. It was a really tough time. Because when you go from the most amount of money you can make it to absolutely nothing, to trying to qualify for unemployment, and to have 3 kids that you have to pay money for and have them grow, it was really tough. Now, I took a job at a TV station in Rye Brook, New York that was 90 miles away. I drove 90 miles each way every day. It was 3 hours, 4 hours sometimes, depending on the New York traffic. After 10 months of that, I couldn't do it anymore. And so I decided, hey, I'm going to become something, I don't know what. And so I decided that I was going to build a website and create a GoDaddy page. And so I created my website and my page, and charity things started happening in my life, some amazing things. And I want to show you what has happened in my life with the charities that I'm working for, with Nubability and with Disability Dream and Do. And so now you can see me with my kids at these camps, these amazing camps that I'm able to go out with Doug Cornfield and Dave Clark and put on baseball camps with kids for severe disabilities all over the country until COVID hit. And Dave Clark, one of the greatest stories you've never heard, pitched in the minor leagues on crutches. So you got the only guy with no legs to play in the minor leagues and the only guy on crutches to pitch in the minor leagues. So it's a dream come true for these camps. And we get amazing kids that come to this, like Lily, a child who was blind. She wanted to play baseball. So I said, follow me, Lily. We got onto the field. Lily says, show me how to hit. So I put the bat in her hands. We started showing her how to hit. She hits the ball and she says, well, you got to run around the bases with me, Dave. And I'm like, I'm 52 years old. All right, so here's a guy with no legs taking a little blind girl around the bases, and she had to get down and touch every base, and it was truly amazing. But it also led to me getting involved with Nubability, and another amazing charity that's out there where there are limb-different kids. This is Sam Kunert, who I work with. I'm on the board with them, and we work with kids who have no arms and no legs that are trying to play able-bodied sports, just like I did, just like Jim Abbott, just like Shaquem Griffin, all these amazing kids that come here, just like Tim, who has no arms and worked all week at our camp. All he wanted to do is get on that box, make one base jump, and he did it. He did it. He fought so hard for one of the greatest moments of his life, and that's why Nubability is such an amazing organization for me to be a part of, where I can teach kids with one arm and one leg how to play baseball, to do the things that there weren't people around to teach me how to do, to show me those things. So I'm so excited to be a part of Nubability and what they do, and continue to showcase the amazing things in my life. And that's why no matter what hand you're given, you still have gifts. And I get to continue to work with these kids and go to these camps and teach a kid with one leg how to kick a field goal. Can you imagine that? Last year, I worked with this young man. We did the blocking sills. We did all these things. But he said, Dave, I want to kick a field goal. That's a kid with one leg kicking a field goal. So if you think your life is bad and you've got your little miseries and your aches and pains and things like that, think about all those other people. Because my life is about experiences, and I'm not embarrassed to make fun of myself or show myself doing silly things. It took a lot of courage to get back up on that high dive. Not once, but I did it twice. Got up on the high dive, jumped off, and just kind of showed people that, hey, this old man isn't afraid to try anything or do anything at least once. And that's the story of my life. That's the philosophy of my life, is that you have to take chances. You're not going to get anywhere in this life if you don't have those goals. It doesn't mean to have big, huge goals like I had of trying to try out for the major leagues and things like that. It's the goals that has gotten me to Super Bowls. It's the goals that has gotten me to be able to pop out of a box when I speak at those types of events where it was a group of people that are movers. But I travel so much, and I really do miss a lot of the traveling. And you can see sometimes I take it to the extreme. But, I do a lot of fun things to try to show people that I am normal. This is my normal. It's not normal when you spin with your dog and you have your dog trained to teach you how to dance, but I'm still going out there. I'm still playing sports. It doesn't matter. I try to do a little bit of everything. The hockey has been a great add to my life, playing sled hockey on the ice. It's an adaptive sport that I have never tried before, and I'm really enjoying that. But, baseball is still where it is at for me, and I still continue to go out and work out with minor league teams and take batting practice with teams and just kind of show them that, just because it doesn't have any legs doesn't mean this guy can't hit. And they come around the batting cages and they want to look at me, and they're in awe of seeing the things I do. And so I got to hit and show them a little bit of the things that I can do, when, brother, I'd be picking on their brains. But the opportunities, that I've had, I feel so blessed. Like being a part of the Wounded Warrior Amputee football team and playing before 70,000 people in Lambeau Field. And then after the game, I got to interview Aaron Rodgers because I work for the Disability Channel. And that's another great asset of my life. It's a network that I've been a part of where it's able to showcase my talents and letting the world know that you can do anything in life. Like jump into a big claw game at the Super Bowl and flip around a bunch of teddy bears. And I had the best score that day, and I won 2 tickets to the Goo Goo Dolls. So pretty impressive. But I like to do things. I like to call out the elephant in the room. And when you get a famous star like J.B. Smoove saying, Dave, get down and dance with me at the Super Bowl, you get down and dance with J.B. Smoove. And when you've got all the media that has surrounded you looking at you, and you're just like, you know what? I just had a heck of a time with J.B. Smoove. But I also get to have a great time with all of the athletes that I interview. When I'm at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, when I'm on ice at an NHL game or at an NBA arena, or all of the places that I get to go to help and represent the Disability Channel. These athletes just enjoy me. Russell Wilson, I have a great rapport with him. And the baseball players come up, they sit down, we talk, they talk to me. You get to hang out with Mike Trout. It's just been unbelievable, my life. And while you guys might be looking at this thinking, holy cow, how have I never heard about this guy? Well, that's because I didn't have GoDaddy a long, long time ago. So if I'd had GoDaddy back in the day, the explosions would have been there, and I'd be just as big as Rob Gronkowski these days. But my life also has, its challenges, and here's some great footage to look at if you're taking a look at the screen up here of getting snow out. My body on my day-to-day things, I'm on my ground, on my butt. It's very cold, and I have to invent ways of like grabbing a skateboard and scraping the ice, and I go through 2 or 3 skateboards a year, and the challenges of trying to go to places that I would like to go to that you guys are able to go to, but it's not accessible. Like hiking down into a canyon in Slide Rock, Arizona, on my arms, 1.5 miles down, real treacherous, but I wanted to do it. It was something I wanted to do as a kid, to go down there, get in the water, touch that cold water and feel it for the first time in about 40 some odd years. And I accomplished it. Now don't look at this part here. That's not a white t-shirt. That's how I went down those falls. But just the reward of getting down there by myself with no help, just on my 2 arms. You know, I don't have a lot of strength left in these babies anymore, but I'm going to use them as long as I can to continue to live my life and do the things that help show others that anybody can continue to have challenges and set goals and want to achieve those things in life. I got up there after that, and it was one of the things that I'd always dreamed of, and I finally did it. And since I travel a lot, I have to figure out the ways that I'm going to get on an airplane. You know, I jump on my skateboard just like this, and you see in this video. And I jump on my seat, and the airlines always have a tough time dealing with those, situations, because they don't see legless guys doing what I do. Or I put on my hefty back so I can go down on the beach and get into the ocean, and again, scaring people and freaking people out because they've never seen anything like that. But it's what I have to live with on a day-to-day basis. I have a Teflon skin, but I also have 3 beautiful boys that I'm raising. 3 boys that look to me for guidance and protection. And the adventures that I take them on around the country has been the best part about my life. Those are 3 of the most amazing gifts a dad could ever get. And that's why you have to understand the gifts you have are going to be the gifts that you take down the road. And you never know when you see some legless guy that's been flipping around on the mat and looking like a superstar back in the wrestling days, when I was a lot skinnier in those days. You never know when you're sitting there watching a late night TV show and you see it and you're looking around and suddenly American Dad comes on and you see, wait a second, that looks like me. Is that a guy without legs on a skateboard? And is he wrestling? And is he about to kick that guy's butt? And is he walking around in his arms? There's no way. There's no way. So Seth MacFarlane, I give a big shout out to you. But in case you were wondering what I used to look like at 6'4" when I wore the artificial legs, well, that's it. I was a tall drink of water. It was dead weight. I had to use crutches. I couldn't really walk around, but that's what I look like. I haven't worn the legs in over 10 years. Doctors said I should stop the wear and tear on my shoulders, so I stopped doing it. I still use a skateboard from time to time when it's easier to get around, but I also, have turned into an older person, and it's also a new world, but I have a wheelchair. And again, it's a different world when you've lived in something where you're not used to it, but this is my means of transportation when I'm getting around and doing the things that I do in my day-to-day life. And that's why what we're here to talk to today is kind of about the day-to-day life and the day-to-day challenges of somebody like me, and all of those families in the GoDaddy world that may have some child with some sort of affliction or a body part that is missing, or some sort of, again, they call them handicaps, they call them disability. I'm going to tell you right here, right now, those are 2 words I hate. If you look at my resume, and we've gone over these things, he played college football, he played minor league baseball, 20 years at ESPN, 7-time Emmy Award winner. You'd look at that piece of paper and go, wow, he must be a good-looking, handsome stud athlete, right? And then on the back it says, he was born without legs. Well, that ruins every single stereotype there is. I'm not handicapped. I'm not disabled. I hate the term Special Olympics when they say that, because I don't want my kid to be special. I want my kid to be an athlete. And we know we've created those terms from the 60s, from the Kennedys that created it. And again, a wonderful organization. I'm not bad-mouthing the organization, but Special Olympics is not the term we should be using for those athletes. But I digress. My battles are the battles that I choose to pick in my day-to-day life. And I don't battle a lot because I have to live in your world. You don't live in mine. So the challenges of when I come to Quinnipiac University and there's a handicap ramp to get in and out, but the stones have sunk so far into the ground, I can't use it. Now, is that a priority to anybody? No. If somebody brought it to their attention, would they fix it? It's not a big deal. It's not my fight, but it's those things, especially in the East Coast, that you become aware of on a day-to-day basis. The trials and tribulations I have with travel, the trials and tribulations I have at Texas in stadiums, in Major League Baseball stadiums and NFL stadiums, all those accesses to the field. I can't get down there, but I do, because I'm willing to get on my hands and crawl down those stairs, and I'm not embarrassed, and those people respect me. And so what I wanted to have you guys take a big part away today from me is, I'm not a hero. I'm not a superstar. I'm just a regular person. This is my normal. And everybody that thinks that if they have ADHD or some sort of affliction, a disability, a handicap, that's your normal. If you want to describe me, yeah, I'm a congenital amputee, but nothing got born. I have not had legs my entire life. This is my only way of life. So we get hung up on all of those labels, especially in these days and ages of oversensitivity. You know, I can't even joke about the things that I used to joke about, and it's about me. If I say I live a Forrest Gump life, which I have, people might take offense to that, but I'm the one that said that. When we drive around with my own 3 sons and I say, hey, hand me the Gimp tag, my son's like, Dad, you can't say that. And I'm like, Brady, you're right. So even I learn in these tough times. But these are the toughest times of all right now. And this is when we need that inner fortitude to get through so much. I've had my ups and downs through this. The depression is there. Will I ever work again? Can I provide for my kids? Can I have my camps for my kids? We had one D3 day camp. We've done a couple of nub-ability camps scaled back, but it's not the same when you start to make an impact in so many kids' lives like I have, and I can't be with them right now. But I have had success, and there's one reason during COVID. COVID's not a good thing, and if more people would do what we should be doing, we'd be farther along in this. I'm not taking sides on that, I'm just stating the facts. But for me, COVID has helped me to be closer to my kids, spend more time with my family and my boys who are growing up. They're 17, 15, and 13. They're going to be moving on soon. So I've enjoyed that time. I miss being out there with you guys. I'm so sorry I'm not there in Arizona in person with you guys today. But because GoDaddy cares about so much, here I am. And because GoDaddy has been so important for me, my website's still up and it's been drawing people to me. And I get to have fun, and people now get to see the lighter side of Dave. I'm Dave Stevens, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about social distancing. Now, social distancing is one way to beat this horrible virus. And from governors to the president, people have been asked to stay at least 6 feet away from each other. But I'm asking you to go one step further and social distance yourself from yourself. That's right, social distance yourself from yourself. How can you do that, you might ask? Well, it's very simple. Separate you from you by any means possible, and stay 6 feet away from yourself at all times. Your body will thank you, and you will thank you. This has been a public service announcement for the Social Distance Yourself movement. We're Dave Stevens. And so now people see my content on my website, and then they can go to the other websites and follow me social media. But in this day and age, being able to drive them, I now have a web show with stars and guests and celebrities and like the owners of Untuckit, you know, and instead they gave me a $500 gift card. I should have been giving them something. And I had my old buddy, one of the gurus from ESPN, we had him on. We've had GoDaddy employees on. Like, I am trying to tell the greatest stories that I possibly can. Chris Long was on recently, and he turned the tables around telling me how great I was. And Jim Abbott, the one-handed pitcher from the major leagues, said, best interview we've ever done. And of course, I had my old buddy, Darryl Strawberry, and he stopped by for a little bit to catch up and rub it in that I took a cold third strike. But you got to utilize your who's, your friends during all this time, my Kenny Maynes, the Drew Bledsoes, the people that can pick you up. Friends, family, just use Zoom. Use the power of Zoom, use the power of calls, and you can connect. and everybody is great out there. But this past weekend, I had one of the greatest experiences of my life. I met a young man, 11 years old, born without legs, and he wanted to play football. So for the first time in 35 years, I was out there teaching him football drills. Only a legless player would know how to teach a legless person. And so we worked together, and Josiah worked hard, and we went back and forth teaching blocking and running and passing. And it was such an amazing weekend for me.
But when I first saw you, I was like, whoa, that's the first time I've ever seen someone like me in person. And I was like, that's cool and exciting.
Never thought in a million years, excuse my tears, I'm sorry, I didn't think that we were gonna meet somebody just like him. And it's, I'm sorry, I'm getting choked up. And it's just amazing to me because now he has somebody else he can talk to about issues that he can look up to. You was teaching him drills in football that nobody else could teach him but you.
So, when you see a young man like that, when you see Josiah, and I see so much of myself in him, it just blows me away that I can still make an impact in life, just like all of you, just like anybody out there. If you care enough about somebody, and that's why it's so great for GoDaddy, because they have this initiative not only for the employees, but to work with people on their websites. And the future of GoDaddy needs to have more and more inclusion, and you have a lot of great ERG units that you're working with that have put together, that are responsible for having me be here. And I hope someday I can come and be with you guys in Arizona when all this is over, and we'll be able to see me in person, and I can do my tricks where you see me do push-ups, because people love when I do the push-ups. That's always the kids' favorites, and I'm not there in person, so I'm not going to be doing any push-ups. But if I can still impact a life at age 54, there's no excuse for anybody out there in that audience that's listening and is a part of this to think about, on both sides, what could we impact to help make GoDaddy better, and what could we utilize from the tools that GoDaddy offers to help the employees? So many parents don't want that help because they're embarrassed. They don't want people to know that they have situations going on. It's no one else's business. But the ERGs that they have at GoDaddy are very impactful. They really care. This is a company that wants to keep their employees happy and satisfied, and especially in this time when everybody's working from home, we don't have that personal, physical contact. Everybody's in a tough shape these days. So if I could just end on a couple of things here, just go out and be nice to people, treat people with respect and love. I've gone through a lot of things where I've been bullied, I've been picked on. I'm stared at every single day of my life. If I pick my nose, people are going to say, oh, that legless guy, he was picking his nose. But I told my kids, a long time ago that when I was a little kid, I had to come through in the clutch when I was playing sports. And I always thought, if they're going to stare at me, I might as well give them a show. And I've been giving them that show for 54 years. So go out, do better things in the world. When we can hug again, let's hug again. But let's just get through this right now. And if you need to see more and you want to see more, go to davestevensspeaks.com. You can see the website, which GoDaddy has built. And if you don't like some things, hey, give me some feedback. I'm always looking for improvements. Or you can hack in and feel free and change anything that you want. And if you could put up the panel, I just wanted to see the panel real quick. So, and I'd also appreciate if you guys could follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. I'm constantly putting out funny videos, motivational videos, just things that are going on in my life that every now and then, I like to make fun of myself, because if you can't make fun of yourself, who can you make fun of? So at this point, I think I'm going to try to see if the Zoom is working and we can open it up to questions. So I'll probably be coming a little closer and turning mine on if anybody actually sat through this and wanted to listen to it. I'm turning on my camera and my audio. Do you see me and hear me, folks? All right, let me see if I can turn up some sound. Okay. Anybody have any questions, thoughts, comments?
Just a lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts, a lot of reflection, and I certainly appreciate your story. I have a child with intellectual challenges, so it's the flip side. It's the sooner we determine that he is our child. This is just accept for who he is, the happier we were.
And that's got to be a tough time because are you doing homeschooling right now?
No, he goes to a private school
Okay.
where he receives one-on-one instruction, and so he's actually done better at home than in the facility. He has a lot less anxiety at home. He's able to establish and maintain most of his routines, and he gets to see his mama more often since I'm home as well. So overall, he's actually performing a lot better at home.
Excellent. That's awesome. Well, I wish you a lot of luck with that, because that's the thing. When the parents are on both sides of that, it's quite a challenge, because, you know, there aren't a lot of support groups and things like that you can just jump into that it works for you, because every situation is unique to that child's mental stability.
Right, exactly.
Well, keep trying, keep going, and God bless you for the love that you're already providing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Who else we got? Anybody? Come on, I get to be out in public for such little amount of times, folks. I got if I go home, but if we're good, Joe, anybody?
We do have one question.
Yes.
What keeps you going when you feel defeated, like when you were laid off from ESPN?
Well, when I've had a lot of the ups and downs, and I'd say at that lowest point, when because there was a point when I worked at Fios One News, I would literally, it was during the Trump and Hillary Clinton 2016 presidential race, and they wanted me to, I worked an 11 p.m. shift until, it was 3 p.m. till 11:30, and then sometimes they'd want me to be a turnaround at 7 in the morning. I couldn't afford the gas, so I would sleep in my van and then go shower in the gymnasium and brush my teeth in the locker room of the workout place that they had. And it just got to a point where I was missing my kids and not seeing them. And everybody in my life had said, you should be a motivational speaker and you should tell your story. And it's always like, I always worked so hard to just be behind the scenes at ESPN and do those things. And it's, now I realize that sex sells, in a way, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but it's like, there's something alluring about a legless man talking about his life in person, and if I can motivate these kids that have never seen anybody like me, then the next time they see somebody like me or a little different, they're not afraid. And that's where I'm the most impactful, is trying to give that the inclusion, for anybody, if they're, they're based on their race or based on their sexual gender or based on anything. We don't choose that. It's our normal, and we have to start hammering at an early age what those normals are. And if I can help do that, that's been the biggest drawback for me, is not being, in those schools, because the kids in this really, really motivate me. And my career was exploding for speaking at the beginning of the year. Like I flew 30 times last year, and so I miss it. I can't wait to get back out and leave my legacy. This is my legacy that I'm trying to give out. Good question.
What would you say from day to day is the hardest thing you have to deal with when interacting with other people and their judgments?
I think it's I have to almost anticipate everything they're going to think or say, but then blast that out of the way by letting them know how funny and silly and goofy and that at ease I am with how I am. If you go on my YouTube channel, there's so much goofy, funny stuff that's on there, and people see me on my skateboard. I'm sure you don't see a lot of old men doing tricks on skateboards and running around on a skateboard. Doing the things that that I do that way. So I just try to put them at ease, because then it becomes the old, oh, did you lose your legs in the war? Or, the worst is thank you for your service, because then I gotta, it's so nice of people to say that, but then they feel bad because, I can't do that. Just, oh, thank you very much. Like, I didn't serve. I've played with the Wounded Warrior football teams around the country, and I feel like I'm their half brother, but, so yeah, every day you wake up and you just try to, that's why I end up familiarizing myself with the same grocery store. So, you don't get the same stares and looks and people taking their carts the other way to avoid eye contact, or, the little kids that walk by and scream and they get yanked because the kids are saying something. It's like, I want to go up to those little kids, and I can't in this day and age, but I'd like to go up to those little kids when they're freaked out or saying something, and I put out my hand and I say, hey, I'm Dave. And they're like, what happened to you? And I'm like, oh, I was born like this, but it's okay. And you explain that I'm not a monster and that people with disabilities are okay. And that's that low level that we have to start doing of creating inclusion.
That's really awesome. Thank you for that.
Uh-huh. Anybody else?
Not sure if you can see the comments or not. Just wanted to highlight something that Rick W. had mentioned. He just wanted to say thank you for sharing your story. He had never heard it, and definitely is inspiring and truthfully makes any of us complaining about any of our day-to-day issues seem almost ridiculous.
Well, I appreciate that, but, I don't have to walk up and down stairs with bad knees. I'm never going to have hip replacement surgery. So my benefits, people, that's why I say I just don't feel like I deserve the accolades because I'm just this dude. I just, the only good thing I've done out of COVID is I've dropped 33 pounds during COVID. So I'm like, that's why this past weekend I made a great tackle in a game. I threw a touchdown pass. The video's all out there. So I'm feeling I'm 54. I'll be 55 in January, and I want to get back out there so I can continue to do these cool things as long as I can. Because who knows? I could drop dead from a heart attack, but I want to continue to be out there as long as I can to help change the world.
Now, what advice would you have on how to instill gratitude among children?
Well, I think, that's a tough one these days, because when the kids see me and they are so fascinated and they just want to sit and talk, and then you realize that these are just little human beings. And I think sometimes the parents are so busy treating them like little kids that they forget sometimes they need to have big time conversations with them. I'm not talking about sex or whatever, but explaining certain things in politics, or explaining why there's hate, or explaining why this president guy is saying bad things about this president guy. And, my kids never cared about an election before, and I'm dealing with, them decided, and they wish they could have voted, and which is a good thing. But, but for kids, I think I still say the most important part for teaching them is to teach them humility, and to make them highly giving. If you could just instill that pay it forward type thing in them, because so many people have helped me along the way, and I would not be where I am today if it weren't for coaches that weren't supposed to do things. And I stayed at my coach's house on the weekend because my parents couldn't afford to drive me back and forth, and I got to see cable TV, and I get to eat pizza and do things like, you can't stay with your coaches in this day and age. So I have so many mentors, so many people along the way that we have to get these kids off of their video games and off their phones and all that kind of stuff, and get them back to old-fashioned interacting with people and learning people's skills, and then learning to be able to pay it forward and treat each other with dignity. So hopefully in a few years there aren't race issues, there aren't religion issues, there aren't all of the issues that we can just get around and just live. We got way too many other problems in this world to be fighting about all the stupid stuff. How's the weather in Arizona today? You got good weather in Arizona today? Did we lose everybody? Has the
It's
session?
really warm here, David.
Oh, okay.
Super
Anybody been up to Wickenburg at all?
I was up last weekend.
Ah, how was it?
It was beautiful, of course. But it's been warm here, so I think we're all looking forward to it cooling off.
Well, I appreciate.
You know how it is.
Yeah, well, we had 70s.
You never know.
It was nice to be in Dallas last weekend. First time I'd have a COVID test. That my back of my eye is still hurting from it, but yeah, I hope to get back. I would love to. I'm hoping to do more with GoDaddy and the company, and do some things with you guys for the employees. And it's such a great company, and I do owe so much, for the website for a guy that I don't know how to do any of this stuff. And my next thing is trying to figure out how you do optimization and all that stuff. But I look forward to getting out there again with you guys. Hopefully, a big face-to-face one, and seeing everybody, and being a part. And don't hesitate. Reach out to me on the websites if you have parents or you have people that need ideas or want to run something by, or if you know of a limb different kid that I could get involved with Nubability. We have scholarships, and we are going to have our camps around the country, and whatever I can do to help anybody out there, just reach out through my social media platforms. Continue to follow me, support, and if you know of anybody, now that we've gotten a virtual one out of the way and it's relatively pain-free, spread the word. That's the best thing. If I can, get in schools and do stuff this way, we've proven we can do it. And, you guys have been a great audience. Any other questions?
A lot of people are getting all jealous of the weather. We have a couple people that have 76 degrees, then 58 in San Francisco, 48 in Iowa. So yeah, it's quite the different temperature across the country. So yeah, if you guys have any more questions, we still have a little bit of time left. So feel free to ask those in the chat box, or just feel free to come off of mute and ask your question to Dave.
Since I kind of have some history, knowing David for like all of my life, David, can you speak, or can you kind of share, so Coach Smith, Coach Rona, those folks, is there anything that stands out to you from your childhood that kind of moved you forward in your thinking and really kept you going, or was there a time that really stands out to you?
I owe so much to those coaches you just named: Coach Moran, Coach Arona, Coach Ybarra, Victor Smith. They are all mentors in my life that I have stayed in contact with to this day. I mean, obviously coming into a small cowboy town, this little legless kid thinks he's going to play sports here. And, if I'd have gone somewhere else, like in Phoenix, like Sunny Slope or Moon Valley or something, they might have just said no. But, Coach Moran said, if we can get him tested and get him proven that he can do it, then so they let me. And it became on me not to just be that token, the story of where they hand a kid with Down syndrome a ball and he runs for a touchdown. I never wanted to be that. So there was no book, How to Play Baseball for Dummies with No Legs. So the coaches worked with me in Wickenburg, and it was a lot of time. And then the parents started like, why are you wasting so much time on this legless guy when my kid should be starting? And then taking it to the next level of, why is Dave starting in right field over my son? Why is Dave starting in football over my son? He has legs. Then that parent is like, my kid sucks that bad that a legless guy can beat him out. So all these internal things that kind of I didn't aware of and the coaches shielded me from, I got it a little bit in college. From my teammates when they would get jealous if CBS Sports comes to do a story. Why don't they do a story on us? And I'd be like, well, cut your legs off and maybe they will. I don't need the jealousy. As people know me, Wickenburg got put on the map. Like when That's Incredible was there, the town blew up and the town became famous. And I've given credit to that town every time I speak because I'm from Wickenburg. It's a part of me. It's still, I go back, when I can 2 or 3 times a year. It's just this little Mayberry place that still has this Americana that hasn't been too affected by the outside world. But I wouldn't be there without my 86-year-old coach who's still there, and my 70-year-old wrestling coach in Peoria. And, you know, those mentors mean so much. And that's why I worry that these kids today, especially with homeschooling, they're not building those relationships with those teachers. They're not getting the same kind of, you know, we're going to be set back a long time in education for about 2 to 3 years. And we're going to be set back in the sports world and the professional world for 2 to 3 years, because the high school kids are not developing. They're not getting scholarships to college. The college players aren't playing. They're not getting drafted by the pros. The pros are not developing any of these young tools, and there's going to be a fall off, you mark my word, in the next 3 to 4 years, where older players are going to be staying a lot longer in their careers because there's not enough good young talent. So there's going to be this 3 to 4 year stretch that's caused from COVID. And I just hope that we can get these kids back into school in a normal way, because I think that's the most important thing we have to get back to, is the education.
All right, any last questions for Dave?
Thank you for the kind notes I'm seeing pop up on the screen. Yeah, please. I'm not like these other little kids that know how to do all this stuff. I am a one-man band on my social media and all this stuff, and now I'm on TikTok, which is exploding. I went from 23 viewers, and then we posted the video of me and Josiah doing push-ups, and it went to 400 viewers. So yeah, tell friends to share, to follow. It really is sad when I have video of a little blind girl that I'm teaching baseball, and we post it from our websites, and it gets a few likes. But some kid can go and take a plastic wiffle ball bat and hit somebody else in the groin, boom, 1.1 million clicks. Like, it's just, that says a lot about our society these days. So if you could help promote something good, especially because I want to help promote GoDaddy and what they're doing, and it's all on my website, so you guys would be doing yourselves a big favor too. So I would appreciate you guys doing that. That would be a big favor.
All right, we do have a question. Can you talk about kindness from others and how it has affected your life?
Yeah, the kindness, you know, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for those kindness, because people are so apprehensive when it comes to someone like me. You know, when people see me, that, you know, they look at me, but it's like that old adage, don't judge a book by its cover, because they want to feel sorry for me. They want to, you know, there's a difference between pity and empathy. And so if I can help teach others that, you know, look at this guy, he's fun and he's not like the others. Maybe there are others like him, and then next time they'll treat people with respect. And you know, I always try to get up to the door and open doors for people, because they're so, oh, I gotta open the door for the guy in the wheelchair, and it's like fing, fing, fing. I'll fly up there and I'll open the door and hold them, and they're almost like, what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, go in the door, you know. So it's just one of those things that, for me, the people that have helped me, you know, when I was on That's Incredible, a TV station owner in Minnesota, Stanley Hubbard at KSTP, said, let me give you a scholarship to come work at KSTP. That was in Minneapolis. Ironically enough, Augsburg College got a scholarship because a benefactor saw me in National Enquirer. He didn't believe me, so he drove out from Apache Junction to Wickenburg and says, I'm going to pay for your college in Minnesota. Turned out that college was right next door to the TV station. I mean, you can't make up my life story. So, you know, people have been so giving and helpful to me. It's like Quinnipiac University. They said, this is a big initiative for GoDaddy. Come on in, use our studios. And then they're like, would you like to be an adjunct professor and help build a television network for people with disabilities? I'm like, I could do that. So it's amazing if we could just get all these things together. You know, it'd be nice to have GoDaddy, you know, sponsoring or getting behind this this initiative, or Ford or Mitsubishi or something like that, just because it's so needed. You know, opportunities for those that don't have, you know, again, I don't like the term disabled or handicapped, but those that are different, they need more opportunities. I don't say they need favors, they need opportunities. I've made the most of what I had. Those Emmys that I have, they weren't just, hey, we felt sorry for you, here's a participation Emmy. I earned 7 sports Emmys, you know, and this day and age of giving a participation trophy for everybody, the truth is you win in life and you lose in life. I've won in life and I've lost in life. And I'm teaching my kids there's winners and losers in life, because you have to be able to handle the losses with humility and not gloat and be arrogant when you have the victories.
All right, any other last questions? Lots of good positive comments, and thank you for sharing your story. And everyone has really been inspired by the words that you've given us today, and just by telling your story and how you've come from a little boy to where you're at now.
Yeah, but the truth is, I built this little website on GoDaddy that people started clicking on and seeing and all that kind of stuff. So if an idiot like me can do that, you guys have so much to offer the world, and that's why I'm hoping to get it with you guys and work on programs for those that can't create websites as easily as those, and figure out what kind of programs and things that we could do to help not only the GoDaddy employees, but to help other people out there to utilize GoDaddy in different ways.
All right, we'll give it one more minute for any questions. Feel free to type that in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question.
People, I have stuff, sometimes people ask questions like, how do you drive? That's a good question. So I brought in what I use. This is how I get around. And these are amazing tools. Again, somebody at GoDaddy thinking outside the box just said, hey, I wonder if I could do these. And these are called pedal masters, and they're like the claw game. And you just put one right on the brake, you squeeze it, and you close it. And the same for the gas. You just put that on there, you squeeze it, you close it. And then I'm able to drive with one hand and then manipulate the gas pedals with one, because you don't have to do both at the same time, obviously. And this gives me the ability to go around the world and the country and rent any rental car that I want, and not have to deal with, it takes 2 or 3 days to order a special hand control car for rental cars. It also takes them out of commission for days. Like if the rental car companies were smart, they'd get these and they'd save a lot of money in between. So, it's those life tools that I use, like in the videos where when it's raining, I'll throw a Ziploc bag on, so I got to get out to my car. And my friends would be like, oh, that's so embarrassing, and I put a Hefty on. I texted it one time to Hefty about, thank you, Hefty, for protecting me in the snow. Hefty sent me 10 cases of garbage bags. So people do listen.
Awesome. Well, Dave, again, thank you so much for taking the time to, actually, we do have one last question. Do you share these kinds of life hacks on your website? I'm sure a lot of others would benefit, or even, not just your website, but maybe your social media.
Well, yeah, the website is mostly updated when I have a big thing happening, like we're putting the Dallas camp and my working with Josiah. That should be going on there. The websites, though, if you go to my Instagram, my YouTube, Facebook, I'm always doing content. I'm doing silly content. I'm doing Saturday Night Live type content. I'm not above making fun of myself, burying myself in the waist, jumping out and barking, doing things that you probably 54-year-old men shouldn't be doing. But it's about trying to grab that thing. But I get, my content isn't just over the top. It always has a message, it has a meaning. So if it's something I'm doing that's drawing attention to my lower body, obviously I'm in on the humor, and people can understand that you can laugh with me. I'm not making fun of anybody else but myself, So, anything out there is, the YouTube channels have all my TV shows and interviews, and if you scale way back, you can find That's Incredible with Tiger Woods, his segment and my segments, all kinds of old movies and clippings of me playing football in Ireland and New Zealand and Australia, and cowboy tryouts and twins tryouts and Olympic tryouts, all kinds of, there's so much. It's the greatest story never told, but at least there's enough out there.
minutes away. So again, on behalf of GoDaddy, thank you so much, Dave, for coming in and telling us your story. I also want to thank GD Abilities for sponsoring this event and connecting with Dave and bringing Dave to our Inclusion Week. I was so happy that this happened the same week that we decided to have Inclusion Week. So thank you again, Dave. Thank you for everyone that's attended. I'm so glad that you guys found this really inspiring and that you guys you guys came to support Dave today. So
And thank all of you, and special shout out to this beautiful Quinnipiac University studio. I mean, holy cow! I mean, does it get any better than this?
big green screen.
I know. They should CGI legs on me. We could see what that looks like, all right? I could be running. I'll just do this and they can superimpose them afterwards.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much again. And this will be recorded. This is recorded already. So we'll be posting this on our website for the event, the Inclusion Week website, as well as the GD Abilities. So check those two places out. And again, be sure to follow Dave on social media. So thanks again for coming, Dave. And thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon or morning, wherever you're at.